There is a blessing on its way to you, not because you begged for it, not because you chased after it, but because God already ordained it. You think your prayers are where the manifestation begins, but that's not the truth. Your desire is not the beginning of the story. It is the echo of a thing already created. Before you even knew to want, the Father knew what you lacked. And what He prepares is far greater than what you would have dared to request. The mind tries to control, tries to predict, tries to make a list and check it twice, but God does not work from your list. He works from your state of being. And when you become still enough, open enough, surrendered enough, you realize the most life-altering blessings come when you stop trying to control what should arrive. You are walking through moments right now that may feel empty, confusing, or delayed, and yet behind the curtain of the visible world something is forming. A door is being carved out. A divine encounter is being written into your timeline. You didn't even ask for it, because your soul already agreed to it. This is the wonder of grace. You receive not what you earn, but what was always yours to begin with. You may think your life is on pause, you may think nothing is happening, but God is not idle. He is precise. He is weaving details you can't see, arranging people you've never met, and aligning moments that will one day stop you in awe and say, only God could have done this. So release the need to know when. Release the urge to understand how. When you live in the end state, when you assume the role of the person already blessed, you allow the unseen to flood the scene. You become magnetic to things you've never spoken aloud. And in this quiet confidence, blessings show up like surprises, tailor-made, timed perfectly, and too specific to be coincidence. Don't let your waiting become worrying. Let it become worship. Because God is not limited by your asking, He exceeds it. You don't need to figure it out. You just need to become the one who already has it. There is a blessing on its way, and you didn't ask for it because it asked for you. Live from that knowing. Rest in that truth. And you will witness the impossible become inevitable. There is a deep mystery that many overlook when it comes to receiving blessings. Most people wait and watch, thinking the blessing is somewhere far off in the future, something they must chase, earn, or plead for. But the truth is more extraordinary than that. The blessing already exists. It is not waiting to be created. It is waiting to be realized. You see, time is not linear in the way you have been taught. What you call tomorrow already exists in the eternal now. Every possibility, every answered prayer, every fulfilled desire is present in a higher dimension of consciousness, waiting for you to align with it. You are not creating blessings as much as you are stepping into the awareness of them. This is why your imagination is so powerful. It is the bridge between what is unseen and what can become seen. If you can see it inwardly, you are only waiting to catch up to it in the outer world. But this catching up is not physical, it is spiritual alignment. When you continue to dwell in lack, in fear, in questions like when will it come or what must I do, you are walking in the shadow, not the substance. The substance of your blessing is already complete, but the shadow is what you see until your mind and heart rise to its level. That's why there are moments in life when the blessing appears suddenly, as if out of nowhere, and you call it a miracle. But it was there all along. You simply became ready to see it. And how do you become ready? By believing it is already yours, by feeling the reality of it before it arrives in the visible world. This is what separates the ones who receive from the ones who wait endlessly. The blessing is not delayed. You are delayed in perceiving it. The longer you stay in the energy of doubt, of waiting, of asking over and over again, the more you postpone your arrival. It is like walking in circles around a treasure chest that was always buried beneath your feet. Stillness, surrender, and spiritual certainty are what allow you to finally dig. It is not arrogance to believe something is already yours. It is alignment. It is not delusion to live as if it is done. It is divine partnership. When you stop looking at your current situation as the full picture, you allow your inner vision to guide you to the blessing that is just a shift in awareness away. You do not have to strive for what already belongs to you. What is meant for you cannot miss you unless you stay blind to it. So instead of asking, when will it come? Ask, how can I become the one who already has it? And as you assume the feeling of already receiving, life moves, rearranges, and shifts in your favor, not because something changed, but because you did. You are not waiting on the blessing is waiting on you to wake up. What unfolds in your outer world is not the result of chance or random fate. It is the reflection of your inner state, the beliefs you carry, the emotions you nurture, and the assumptions you live by, often without even realizing it. This is why transformation cannot begin with circumstances. It must begin within. The world you see is nothing more than a mirror, echoing the state from which you operate. You may think your conscious mind is in control, that your plans, strategies, and logic shape your future. But the deeper truth is that your inner state draws experiences to you that the intellect could never conceive. When you dwell in fear, you find reasons to be afraid. When you live in lack, opportunities seem to hide from you. But when you settle into peace, into faith, into the assumption that you are already supported, something miraculous happens. Life begins to move in alignment with your new vibration. You do not have to figure out how things will happen. You only need to embody the energy of the one who already has it. The mind, no matter how intelligent, is limited. It can only work with what it knows, what it has seen, and what it can predict. But your inner state is not bound by that. Your inner state taps into something far greater, a spiritual intelligence that defies logic, surpasses planning, and delivers what you couldn't even articulate. There are blessings meant for you that the mind cannot imagine, not because you are unworthy of imagining them, but because they exist beyond the current parameters of your thinking. The moment you shift your inner state, the entire trajectory of your life begins to change. Suddenly you attract people you didn't expect, doors open without effort, and answers come before the questions even form. This is not coincidence. It is alignment. Think of the time something beautiful entered your life unexpectedly. Not through striving, but through surrender. That is the evidence that your inner world was aligned, even if just for a moment, with abundance, with love, with grace. The more consistently you live in that inner harmony, the more your outer world takes the shape of it. You cannot think your way into a new life. You must feel your way into it. Assume the mood of your desire fulfilled. Carry yourself as though what you want is already yours. This is not pretending. It is becoming. And in that becoming, you allow space for the unimaginable to take form. The universe does not respond to begging. It responds to belief. It echoes your state. So if you want to receive something greater than your mind can conceive, rise above the mind. Enter the stillness of knowing. Live from the feeling of it being done. That inner state is the invitation, and the unimaginable becomes the inevitable. There is a sacred stillness in how God operates. Quiet, subtle, almost invisible to the eye, trained only on the physical world. While you wait, worry, or try to make sense of the delays in your life, something is already happening behind the veil. The preparation does not begin when you see it. It begins in silence, in the unseen, where God does His greatest work. We are conditioned to look for signs, movement, action, evidence. But what if the absence of noise is not a sign of nothing, but a sign of something far more profound? God is not loud, He is deliberate. He does not need to announce every step He's taking. He forms the masterpiece in the darkness first, just as the seed breaks open beneath the soil, out of sight. You do not see the roots forming, but that does not mean they are not growing. Love does not mean death if the seed forms away. It does not mean death. It does not mean less. Too often people mistake silence for abandonment. They assume that if nothing is happening externally, then nothing is happening at all. But the unseen is the foundation of the seen. The invisible realm is where divine arrangements are made, where timing is perfected, where people are positioned, hearts are softened, and details are divinely aligned. You are not waiting on God. He is preparing something so intricate, so specific, that only silence could hold it. When you feel nothing is moving, trust that everything is being moved for you. The moments of stillness are not empty, they are sacred. In them, your character is being shaped, your spirit is being refined, and your readiness is being forged. What's coming requires you to be someone different than who you were when you first desired it. And that transformation often happens in the quiet. God does not rush. He is not bound by your timelines or your impatience. He knows that real blessings require real foundation. That takes time. That takes silence. And while you may not see the evidence yet, faith allows you to rest in the unseen, to believe that just because your eyes don't see it, doesn't mean your future isn't already being written. You do not need proof to trust. You only need presence. The same presence that led you this far will not abandon you now. Do not confuse His silence with absence. Often, silence is the language of preparation. Just because you don't hear Him doesn't mean He stops speaking. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean there isn't a divine unfolding in progress. This is the realm of faith. To rest while it is quiet, to trust while nothing makes sense, to worship in the waiting. That is when you prove you believe. And in the right moment, not 1 second too early or too late, what was hidden will be revealed. What was forming in silence will be manifested in brilliance. So be still, stay anchored. What you cannot see is already becoming. And when it arrives, you will understand why it had to be prepared in the unseen. Imagination is not a fantasy, nor is it idle daydreaming. It is a sacred tool, a divine blueprint of what is already being formed in a higher dimension. When an image rises in your mind and stirs your spirit, it is not random, it is revelation. It is your soul remembering what already exists beyond the veil of the physical world. Your imagination is the preview of your future reality, a window into the invisible work that has already begun. Many believe that they must see something to believe in it, but spiritual law is the opposite. You must first believe in what you cannot yet see, and then the evidence will follow. The imagination is the bridge between your current state and the unseen reality being prepared for you. When you see it within, when you touch it with your mind, feel it in your body, and dwell in it with emotion, you are aligning yourself with the version of you who already has it. This is not about forcing outcomes. It is about yielding to what has already been created for you. The desire itself is proof that the thing exists. You would not be able to imagine something that had no possibility of becoming. The moment you feel it, the moment it comes alive in your inner world, it begins to draw itself toward you. Or more accurately, it begins to draw you into alignment with it. Imagination is not separate from creation. It is the first step of creation. All things that exist now, homes, music, healing, art, abundance, first lived in the imagination of someone bold enough to believe what they saw within. The unseen is more real than the seen. And the moment you consistently visit your desired state in the mind, you give life to it. You awaken what already exists in eternity and call it into time. When you imagine with faith, not just wishing but knowing, you are not pretending, you are remembering. You are tuning into a vibration that belongs to you. And just as a radio must be set to the correct frequency to hear broadcast, your life must be set to the frequency of the thing you desire. Imagination is how you do that. You must become deeply intimate with your desired reality. Walk in it mentally. Speak from it. Feel it in your bones. Let it live in you so fully that the outer world has no choice but to conform. Because what you consistently dwell upon will eventually externalize. The world is not your master, it is your mirror. And what you hold in imagination long enough with enough faith must reflect itself outwardly. Imagination is not the beginning, it is the evidence that something has already begun. It is God's whisper saying, "This is yours. Come into agreement with it." So do not dismiss the visions that move you. They are not fantasy, they are instruction. They are prophecy. And they are the clearest sign that what is being formed in the unseen is already reaching for you. There is a moment in the spiritual journey when you realize you do not need to keep asking for what is already yours. The constant pleading, the repetition of requests, the desperation in your prayers, all of it begins to fall away when you awaken to the truth. Your spirit already knows. And what your spirit knows, you do not need to beg for, you simply need to align with it. Asking is not wrong, but repeated asking from a place of lack reveals a misunderstanding of divine order. It suggests that the blessing is distant, uncertain, or dependent on external permission. But the truth is, what you are asking for was placed in your heart because it already exists in a higher realm. The desire is not the beginning, it is the echo of fulfillment already written. Your spirit, untouched by fear or doubt, already knows what belongs to you. It sees beyond the limitations of your logical mind and feels the reality of the unseen. When you silence the noise, when you drop the mental effort, that knowing rises, and with it comes peace. Peace is not the absence of wanting. It is the awareness that you already have. There comes a point when the only true prayer is thanksgiving. Not because the blessing has appeared yet, but because your spirit has already received it. Gratitude is the voice of trust. It says, "I know it is done, even if my eyes haven't seen it." And in that trust, you stop pleading and start embodying. You stop reaching outward and begin dwelling inward, in the feeling of already being blessed. You don't need to ask when you already are. And the moment you begin living from that place, acting, thinking, speaking, and moving as if the answer has arrived, life responds. Not because you convinced it, but because you remembered who you are. You are not a beggar before the divine, you are a co-creator with it. Your role is not to chase what you desire, your role is to become the version of yourself who naturally receives it. And that begins with stillness, with listening, with trusting the whisper inside you that says, "It's already done." That whisper doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, but it never lies. And when you learn to trust it more than you trust your circumstances, more than your fears or delays, you begin to walk in a flow that no force can stop. You don't need to keep asking. You need to start agreeing. Agree with your spirit. Agree with the vision. Agree with the promise that has already been spoken over your life. When your mind catches up to what your spirit knows, manifestation is no longer a struggle. It is a natural result. Live in the feeling that your request has already been answered. Because it has. Not in the future, but in the now. All you must do is align, and what you once begged for will unfold as if it had always been yours. Delay is one of the most misunderstood experiences on the spiritual path. When something you desire doesn't arrive on your timeline, the mind immediately begins to doubt, to fear, to assume rejection or punishment. But delay is not denial, it is refinement. It is divine perfection in timing, where all things are being prepared in alignment with your highest good, not your impatience. You must understand, spiritual timing is not measured by clocks or calendars. It is measured by readiness, alignment, and purpose. What you call a delay may actually be divine orchestration. What seems like nothing happening is often everything happening, just not in your limited view. You cannot see the hands moving behind the curtain, but they are moving, adjusting details you could never arrange, preparing people and places and moments for something far greater than what you originally imagined. The blessing you want is not just about you, it is also about those connected to it, those you will impact, those who will be changed by your transformation. If the blessing arrived before its appointed time, it might collapse under the weight of unpreparedness. You might not be able to hold it, manage it, or fully recognize its value. That is not love. That is not wisdom. And so, the delay becomes mercy. There are lessons in the waiting. Lessons of faith, patience, character, humility, and vision. You are being shaped to match the level of what you've asked for. The waiting isn't wasted. It is working. Every moment you spend trusting instead of fearing, giving thanks instead of complaining, is preparation. The delay is the cocoon where the unseen transformation takes place. And sometimes the thing you think you're waiting for is only the shadow of what is truly meant for you. You may be asking for something small while heaven is preparing something massive. You may be asking for restoration while God is preparing elevation. What looks like delay may be the time required for your vision to expand enough to receive something greater. When you change your perspective on delay, everything softens. You no longer fight the process. You begin to flow with it. You stop begging for the outcome and start preparing for it. You align your inner world with the feeling of already done, even while the outer world seems unchanged. That is how you bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen. So do not resent the delay. Do not curse the silence. Know that when the time is right, nothing can stop what has been divinely ordered for you. And when it comes, it will come with such precision, such beauty, such unexpected alignment, that you will understand why it had to take this long. You are not being denied, you are being refined. The delay is not a punishment, it is a preparation. And what's on its way to you will be worth every moment you waited in faith. Everything you've imagined, everything your soul has whispered, everything your heart has quietly hoped for. It's not out of reach. It already exists in the unseen, and it is being formed in silence. What looks like a delay is divine timing. What you didn't ask for, your spirit already knew. And what feels far away is simply waiting for you to align with a version of yourself who can hold it. You don't need to strive, you don't need to beg, you only need to remember that your inner state, your imagination, your unwavering trust, these are the keys. Live from the end. Embody the blessing. And know this, God is preparing more than you asked for, better than you imagined, and right on time. Thank you, message. Thank you for listening, for opening your heart, and for trusting the journey even when the road feels uncertain. May you walk forward not with fear, but with deep knowing that what is yours is already on its way. Stay in faith, stay in alignment, and always stay in gratitude. Until next time, thank you, and stay blessed. You did not stumble upon this video by accident. Nothing in this world is random. Every moment is ordered, every meeting divine, and every word you hear right now is aligned with the deeper truth within you. Your win is coming. You've been waiting, hoping, watching the signs, and wondering when the breakthrough will arrive. This message is your confirmation. You are not late, you are not forgotten, you are on time. This is the echo of your own inner calling, reaching back to you, reminding you of your true power, the creative force within your imagination. Your mind is not a mirror of the world, it is the blueprint of the world. What you hold in imagination, when fused with feeling, becomes form. This means your success, your abundance, your love, your breakthrough, it all begins inside. You are not here to chase it. You are here to create it. The desire you carry is sacred, it is not random. That deep yearning you feel is a signal from a higher dimension, one where your win already exists. If you can feel it, you can have it. If you can assume it, it must become real. That's the law. So the question is, can you dare to assume it's already done? Can you let go of the visible world just for a moment and fully dwell in the end? Can you imagine the message you'd send to a friend after your dream has come true? Can you feel the relief, the joy, the peace that comes when the wait is over? Because in truth, it already is. You must no longer seek signs from the outside to prove it's coming. The fact that you're hearing this is your sign. Your soul brought you here. Your higher self whispered, "Watch this." And here you are, receiving the seed that will bloom in your world. There is no force denying you your good, except the disbelief within you. Let that go now. Give yourself permission to believe without needing evidence. The evidence will follow. The win will come. The world must conform to your sustained inner state. That's not a wish. That's a spiritual law. So now, as you listen, allow your inner world to change. Close your eyes for a moment and feel it done. See yourself already living in the wish fulfilled. Feel the peace of knowing it's complete. Breathe in that certainty. Walk through your day with the quiet confidence of someone who has already won, because you have, and the world will soon reveal it. This video found you for a reason. Your win is near. Hold the vision, assume the feeling, trust the unseen, and watch as the world rearranges itself around your new belief. Everything begins and ends within you. You are not a victim of the world you see. You are the creator of it. The outer world is not an independent force acting upon you. It is a mirror reflecting back the beliefs, assumptions, and inner conversations you entertain most often. Your consciousness is the cause. The world you experience is the effect. You are the operant power, not passive but active, not dependent but directing. Whether you realize it or not, every thought you persist in, every feeling you dwell in, every inner dialogue you repeat, these are shaping the landscape of your life. The power has never been outside of you, it was always within, waiting for you to take ownership of it. When you assume something to be true about yourself, your circumstances, your worthiness, that assumption begins to take root. It sinks into your subconscious mind, which does not argue or reason. It accepts what you persistently imagine and feel. Then, like a seed in fertile soil, that belief begins to grow. The people, events, and situations in your world begin to arrange themselves to reflect that inner reality. You don't need to force change in the outer world. That's like polishing a mirror and hoping your face changes. Instead, change the image you hold within. If you see yourself as successful, loved, abundant, and chosen, and you feel it as true, the world cannot help but reflect that back to you. not because you manipulated anything on the outside, but because you altered the cause, which is your inner state. The truth is, the power is always working even when you don't know it. If you habitually assume lack, fear, failure, or rejection, those assumptions will also find their way into your experience. But once you become aware that you are the operant power, you are no longer a reactor, you are a deliberate creator. So, what are you choosing today? What are you accepting as true about yourself? What are you assuming about your future? Are you repeating old stories of limitation? Or are you writing a new script with intention and clarity? There is no power out there deciding your fate. No one has authority over your reality unless you give it to them in consciousness. Once you recognize that your inner world dictates your outer world, you can no longer afford to speak words or think thoughts that contradict your desires. Every mental act is a creative act. Every inner assumption is a command to the universe. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It simply means you must be aware. You must become the guardian of your inner sanctuary. You must choose deliberately what you dwell on, what you accept, what you declare. Speak to yourself as the person who already has the life you want. Think from the place of the end, not toward it. Feel the joy of it being real now. And when doubts arise, as they sometimes will, remember, you are not the doubt. You are the power behind the thought. You can shift in an instant by choosing a new idea and breathing life into it. You are the operant power. You have always been. You don't need permission. You don't need a sign. You don't need anyone else to agree. All you need is a decision to believe in what you've been given, the ability to imagine, assume, and receive. This is your invitation to reclaim that power. Stop waiting for your life to change. Start being the change within, and the world will follow. Because it must. You are the operant power. Now that you know it, nothing can ever be the same again. The desires you feel deeply and persistently are not random. They are not idle daydreams or fanciful wishes detached from reality. They are divine signals, sacred messages whispered from the unseen, calling you to remember what already belongs to you in another dimension of your being. You wouldn't have the desire unless the fulfillment already existed. It is already done, it is already real. The moment a true desire is born within you, the path to its realization also begins to unfold. Your role is not to question whether it's possible. Your role is to accept that its very presence is the proof of its possibility. Desire is not lack. It is life's way of expanding itself through you. It is how the unseen becomes seen, how the invisible becomes visible. That urge within you to grow, to love, to succeed, to create, to experience more is not just personal, it is universal. It is divine intelligence choosing to express itself through your unique consciousness. So many people are taught to distrust desire, to see it as something selfish or material. But in truth, desire is sacred. It is the voice of your higher self, guiding you into alignment with who you are meant to be. When you deny your desire, you are not being humble, you are resisting your own expansion. You are turning away from the gifts that life is trying to hand you. You are not meant to suppress desire, you are meant to honor it, to hold it close, to breathe life into it through imagination, faith, and inner conviction. You are not chasing something outside of you, you are allowing something within you to take form. And this is key. The desire you feel is not something you must go out and earn or achieve through effort alone. It is something you must assume, accept, and align with. You must claim it in consciousness first. When you do all the necessary pieces, people, timing, resources, inspiration, begin to move. You don't have to figure it all out. You only have to know that it is already yours and act from that place of inner certainty. This is not wishful thinking, it's spiritual law. The seen follows the unseen. The world of form bends to the world of assumption. So if you feel called to something, a new life, a bigger purpose, more abundance, deep love, understand that it's already seeking you just as you are seeking it. Do not analyze it. Do not explain it away. Do not let the voices of doubt or fear silence it. Instead, trust it. Trust that what you desire desires you. Trust that it was planted in your heart because you are the one to bring it forth. Trust that there is no distance between you and the fulfillment of your dream, only the veil of belief, which you now have the power to lift. When you truly honor desire, you shift from hoping to knowing, from wishing to expecting, from seeking to allowing. And in that shift, reality begins to conform to the new story you are telling yourself, the one where you already have what you've asked for. So the next time a desire rises in your heart, welcome it. Recognize it as a sacred message from the deeper part of your being. Listen to it, embody it, speak as if it's done, move as if it's done. Feel the relief and gratitude of its completion. Because in truth, it is done. All you must do now is align with it. Desire is not something outside of you calling you forward. It is something inside of you calling you home. And the fact that you can feel it means you are already on your way. So trust the signal. Walk in faith and watch your desire unfold not by force, but by divine inevitability. Because what is truly yours cannot miss you. Imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the womb of creation. Everything that has ever come into existence began first in the invisible realm of imagination. Every structure, invention, masterpiece, or breakthrough the world has witnessed was first seen by someone within. It existed in the mind before it appeared in form. And this is true for your life as well. What you vividly imagine, with emotion, consistency, and belief, begins to form the blueprint for your reality. Your subconscious mind, which governs your habits, reactions, and even what you attract, does not distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. It accepts what you persistently feel and see within as truth, and then moves you and the world around you to reflect that inner truth. Imagination is the first cause. The visible world is the second cause, the echo, the reflection, the result. If you want something to change in your outer world, you don't start there. You go within. You revise the image you hold. You dwell in the scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. This is not about wishful thinking or idle daydreams. True imaginative work is intentional. It is focused. It is emotionally charged. When you imagine the life you want and do so with genuine feeling, with the senses engaged, with the joy and gratitude of already having it, you impress that image upon the subconscious. That impression sets in motion the unseen laws that govern form. You must become the director of your own inner movie. Do not let the world, your past, or your circumstances dictate the scenes you replay in your mind. You have the power to create new ones, scenes that lift you, that honor your highest vision, that affirm your worth and success and abundance. And this power doesn't require force. It doesn't require years of effort. It only requires faithfulness to the unseen. Can you remain loyal to the vision within, even when the outer world seems unchanged? Can you persist in the assumption that it is already done, already yours, already real? Because it is. The moment you create and feel that imaginal scene, it begins to live. It begins to breathe. And the more often you return to it, morning, night, in idle moments, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Eventually, that image becomes your belief, and once it is believed, it must be experienced. So, this is the secret used by great inventors, artists, athletes, and mystics alike. But it is not reserved for the few. It is your birthright. You came into this world equipped with the divine gift of imagination, the ability to create something from nothing. Use it wisely. Use it consciously. Use it lovingly. If you imagine yourself as successful, loved, healthy, and whole, and you feel the reality of that scene with faith and persistence, you will find the outer world bending to that new story. People, opportunities, ideas, and circumstances will begin to appear that match your inner movie. It is law. So, begin now. Create a scene in your mind that reflects the life you desire. Make it vivid, make it joyful, make it rich with sensory detail. See it, feel it, and above all, return to it often. Let it become your dwelling place. Because whatever you do not consciously imagine, the world will imagine for you, and it will do so based on past beliefs, fears, and limitations. But when you take control of your inner world, you take command of your destiny. Imagination creates reality. Always. The question is, are you using it deliberately or unconsciously? Choose now to become a conscious creator. Step into the role of the visionary of your life. The world you desire is not out of reach. It is already within, waiting for you to see it clearly enough, consistently enough, and feel it deeply enough that it cannot help but become real. What you imagine today will live tomorrow. So imagine wisely, imagine boldly, and watch your world transform. The secret to effortless manifestation lies not in striving, begging, or waiting, but in living from the end. To live from the end is to mentally and emotionally occupy the state where your desire is already fulfilled. It is to think, feel, and act as the version of you who already has what you have asked for. It is not a trick, it is a law. This principle is powerful because it shifts your entire vibration, your entire assumption of identity. When you live from the end, you no longer operate from longing or lack, you operate from completion. And that sense of wholeness is magnetic. It draws experiences, people, opportunities, and outcomes to match it, without the exhausting push or grind. You don't wait for the external world to catch up before you shift your state. You shift your state now, and the external world must follow. The world is a mirror, not of your words, but of your inner feeling. When you feel yourself to be what you desire, your world begins to reflect that inner knowing back to you. Ask yourself, who would I be if it were already done? How would I walk, talk, move, and respond to life if I knew my desire was guaranteed? How would I carry myself if I knew I had already arrived? This is the identity shift. It is not pretending, it is not forcing, it is embodying a new self-concept, one rooted in fulfillment rather than frustration, one based on the truth that your assumption creates your reality. For example, if your desire is wealth, do not think from the perspective of someone trying to become wealthy. Think from the place of already being prosperous. Feel the ease of abundance. Make decisions from that state. If it's love, don't imagine yourself as alone, hoping someone will choose you. Assume the state of being chosen, cherished, and secure in love. Feel it real. Living from the end rewires the subconscious. It reprograms the lens through which you perceive reality. And once your perception changes, so does everything else. You will begin to notice new pathways, new signs, new ideas, all because you dared to assume the wish fulfilled. The world cannot resist the pull of your inner state. When you are consistent in your assumption, your world becomes obedient to that assumption. It bends, shifts, and rearranges, not by your force, but by your faith. This principle is the opposite of striving. It is a surrender, but not to defeat. It is a surrender to the truth that it is already done. You don't chase it, you claim it. You don't beg for it, you dwell in it. And if doubt arises, as it sometimes will, return to the end. Don't fight the doubt. Don't argue with the world. Simply revisit your scene. Re-feel your desire as fulfilled. Re-enter the state of your chosen reality. The more often you do this, the more natural it becomes. And what is natural to the mind becomes inevitable in form. This is how you transform your life. Not by reacting to circumstances, but by refusing to let them define you. Your current conditions are not your truth unless you decide they are. You are not here to live by appearances. You are here to live by vision. Living from the end is the most loving, powerful, and confident way to create. It removes the waiting, the hoping, and the anxiety. It places you in the only moment that truly exists, now. And in this now, you have the power to become anything, receive anything, and embody any reality. So dare to assume the best. Dare to walk in your fulfilled state. Dare to live as the person you've dreamed of becoming, because that version of you already exists. It is waiting for you to claim it. Live from the end, and the end will meet you here in the present. We live in a world that teaches us to wait for confirmation, to look for evidence, proof, or signs before we believe something is possible. But this way of living places you in a passive state. It says, I believe it when I see it. But the truth is, you will see it when you believe it. Signs follow, they do not precede. The outer world is a shadow cast by the inner world. It does not move first, it reflects. Your dominant belief, your consistent inner state, your assumption, these are what give birth to the conditions you experience. The world simply catches up with what you have already accepted as true in your inner reality. Waiting for signs is a form of doubt. It says, I'll trust once I'm shown. But life doesn't work that way. You are the operant power. It is your belief, your assumption, your faith that sets things in motion. If you wait for proof before moving into faith, you are standing still, and so your world remains still too. But when you become the proof in consciousness, when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even if there's no evidence yet, you activate the unseen forces that bring it into form. It is not magic, it is law. Think of it like a seed. You do not plant a seed and then demand immediate evidence. You trust the process. You water it, you nurture it, and you know that growth is happening beneath the surface. The same is true for your desires. Once you claim them in consciousness, the process has begun, even if nothing appears to have changed. You're constantly scanning your world for signs, asking, where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? You are actually affirming the absence of your desire. And what you affirm inwardly, you continue to experience outwardly. Instead, shift your attention. Don't ask for a sign, be the sign. Embody the energy of the result. Walk as the version of yourself who already has it. Speak with the confidence of one who knows it is done. Feel the peace of completion. When you do this, signs will begin to show, not because you are looking for them, but because you no longer need them. The irony is that signs appear most rapidly for those who have stopped needing them. When you detach from the need for proof, proof begins to show up. And what are signs really? They are feedback, reflections of your state of consciousness. They are not guarantees or approvals from the universe. They are simply echoes of your inner movement. So let them come. Let them be a quiet nod that you're aligned, but never let them become the reason you believe. You are the cause, the world is the effect. When you shift internally, the world must shift to match. This is not a possibility, it's a certainty. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are not hoping to be chosen. You are the chooser. You are the one setting the tone and direction of your reality. So stop waiting. Don't postpone your joy. Don't delay your belief. You do not need external permission to live in the state of your fulfilled desire. Move now into that inner conviction. Rest in the knowing that what you seek is already seeking you. Signs will follow, opportunities will appear, the right people will arrive, doors will open, but not because you chased them, because you became the version of you who already has them. So trust yourself, trust your imagination, trust the inner feeling more than the outer facts, because the world must follow your belief. And once you fully understand this, you'll stop chasing signs. You'll realize you are the sign. Faith is not hoping. Faith is not wishing. Faith is inner certainty in the unseen, a loyalty to what your senses have yet to confirm. It is the quiet but unshakable conviction that what you have imagined is already real, already yours, already done, even when there is no external proof. This is the kind of faith that moves mountains, not because it pushes or strives, but because it knows. It holds to the unseen reality with unwavering allegiance, refusing to be swayed by appearances, time, or delay. Faith means you no longer look to the outside world for validation. You don't need the world to show you evidence before you believe. Instead, you believe, and the world eventually mirrors that belief. Faith comes first, the manifestation follows. To have faith is to claim your win before it is visible. It is to remain loyal to the imaginal act, the inner feeling, the vision that came to you not by accident, but by divine impulse. That dream, that desire, that inner conviction was placed in you as a seed. And your faith is the soil in which it grows. The challenge, of course, is that the world is loud. It will tempt you to doubt. It will ask for evidence. It will present delays and contradictions and moments of silence. And in those moments, you may question yourself. Is it really working? Did I imagine it all? Should I give up? But those questions. There comes a moment when you stand at the edge of giving up. But what if I told you? That's when it's actually the closest. You look around and see nothing, no change, no movement. But listen to me. Your outer world is the last to know. It is the shadow of your inner assumption. And that assumption, that silent knowing within you, is already at work. If you felt peace lately, not because you got what you wanted, but because you stopped chasing, that's a sign. That peace isn't apathy, it's alignment. It means you've claimed it in consciousness. If life seems chaotic, if you've been tested more than usual, it's not because things are going wrong. The old must break apart to make room for the new. That shaking, it's a birthing. Stay calm. Don't quit. You've started to notice patterns. numbers, names, places that relate to your desire. You brush them off as coincidence, but they are whispers, echoes of a state already claimed, evidence that you are seen and it is done. Don't quit. You don't feel obsessed anymore, do you? That urge to check, to beg, to force, it's fading. That detachment, it means you entered the wish fulfilled. You live there now, and you didn't even realize it. Don't quit. Your imagination has grown rich. You feel it. You see it. When you close your eyes, you live the life you ask for, and it feels more real than your waking world. That is no dream. That is creation. Don't quit. People around you are acting different. Circumstances shift without your input. Doors crack open without you knocking. Why? Because consciousness moved first, and now the world is catching up. So, when your heart says it's already done, when the world says it's not working, choose your heart. The seed has been planted, the soil is dark, yes, but life is stirring. Hold your ground. Don't quit, because it's already yours. There comes a moment in the journey of desire where something profound and almost unexplainable begins to occur. At first, we are filled with longing. We pray, we visualize, we hope, and sometimes we beg. The desire seems far, as though it lives in a future we must chase. We become anxious, watching every minute detail, hoping to see a change. Every silence feels loud. Every delay feels like a denial. We begin to question. Is it working? Is anyone listening? Am I doing it right? But then, without warning, a shift takes place. Not in the world, but within you. Suddenly, you're no longer desperate. You are no longer checking, analyzing, or worrying. The urgency fades. You aren't begging for a sign or proof, because something deeper has awakened. This peace, this sacred stillness, it is not indifference. It is not surrender to failure. It is alignment. You have stepped into a state where your inner world already feels the desire fulfilled. The imagination has replaced effort. The knowing has silenced the noise. This peace is the most powerful sign that your manifestation is in motion. You begin to walk differently. You speak as though it has already happened, not to convince others, but because you simply believe. There's no need to shout, no need to prove. You no longer need evidence, because the feeling is your evidence, and the feeling is real. It's so real that even when nothing has shifted externally, you feel satisfied internally. That is when creation has occurred. Your consciousness no longer lives in the not yet. You don't crave the future anymore because the future is now alive in you. You start to enjoy the present moment again. You drink your coffee with a calm heart. You go to sleep without rehearsing fears. You wake up with no dread. Why? Because in your mind the result is settled. It is already done. You have assumed the state of the one who has it. This peace is not passive, it is creative. It is the stillness that speaks louder than all your trying. And that is the secret. The universe responds not to words or effort, but to the vibration of being. When you move from wanting to being, from hoping to knowing, everything must respond. The world outside is only a mirror. It cannot help but reflect the peace you now carry. And that is why desperation vanishes. You're no longer grasping because you're no longer lacking. You may still be waiting in the physical sense, but in the realm of consciousness where all things are born, it is finished. You don't need to see it. You feel it. And that feeling is the only true reality. So when you notice this quietness, do not question it. Do not mistake it for giving up. It is not the end of your desire. It is the beginning of its arrival. It is the sign that your inner world has become so aligned with your wish so deeply rooted in belief that the need to push has dissolved. In this stillness, creation is complete. Let that peace guide you. It means your manifestation is already yours. When you plant a new belief, a new assumption, or a new state of being in your consciousness, something subtle but powerful begins to unfold. Most expect instant beauty, effortless flow, and immediate results. But instead, what often appears is the opposite: confusion, setbacks, emotional friction, even chaos. This is the point where many give up. They think it means the manifestation isn't working. But the truth is more profound. The turbulence you face is not a sign of failure. It is the echo of the old reality crumbling. You see, the moment you assume a new state, the state where your desire is fulfilled, your inner world has already shifted. But the outer world, being slower and denser, takes time to catch up. The old assumptions, the former beliefs, the outdated energies you once lived in, they don't disappear quietly. They push back, they resist, not because they're winning, but because they're losing their hold on you. That chaos is not destruction, it is purification. Delays do not mean no. They are often divine pauses, moments where the unseen forces rearrange people, places, and events to match your new inner world. What you call a delay is really a refinement. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Your new state is so true, so dominant within you, that the old one must be stripped away. And that stripping, that shedding, often feels like everything is going wrong, when in fact, everything is being made right. Sometimes the people around you begin to act out. Things break down. You feel emotional waves you thought you'd already released. These are the remnants of your former identity, reaching out one last time, asking if you'll return. Will you go back to fear? Will you agree with lack? Or will you hold firm in your assumption of abundance, love, peace? You must understand this. Emotional triggers and external resistance do not come to stop you. They come to test your stability in the new state. They appear not to defeat you, but to reveal what still needs to be released. It is not evidence of your failure. It is the final resistance of a version of you that no longer belongs here. The old story is being uprooted. It doesn't like to leave quietly. It will scream. It will beg for your attention. It will try to lure you back into doubt. But you must remember, you are not that version anymore. You are the one who lives in the fulfilled end. You are not the one waiting. You are the one being. When the world shakes, be still. When the past rises, bless it and let it go. When things seem delayed, trust deeper. Every crack in your old reality is proof that the new one is emerging. The noise you hear is not a warning. It is the sound of transformation. So do not be discouraged when things fall apart. They are not falling apart, they are falling into place. This is the cost of claiming a higher state. This is the cleansing before the blessing. Stand firm. What feels like resistance is often the final confirmation that your new reality is already on its way. When your inner world shifts, when you begin to truly dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire, the outer world starts to mirror that change in subtle, mysterious ways. These reflections are not always loud or obvious. Instead, they arrive like whispers, gentle signs that something is aligning beneath the surface. You start to see repeating numbers like 111, 222, or 777. A song plays with lyrics that speak directly to your heart. You overhear a stranger say the exact phrase you've been affirming in your mind. These are not coincidences, these are synchronicities. And they are not random. Synchronicities are the footprints of consciousness at work. They are signals from the unseen showing you that your inner assumptions are beginning to crystallize into form. Every time you witness one, you are glimpsing a reflection of your shifted state. not the state you wish to enter, but the one you are already occupying. The universe does not send confirmation for the unclaimed. It echoes what you are, not what you beg for. So when these unusual signs begin to show up, pay attention. They are not meant to convince you of something outside yourself. They are meant to remind you that what you assume to be true internally is now projecting itself externally. You are in the flow. The bridge of incidents has been activated, and your only task now is to remain faithful to that inner state. You might find yourself thinking about someone and they call you. You write down your desire, and a day later you see an advertisement or message with the exact words you wrote. These moments are not just interesting, they are spiritual confirmations. They are a language beyond logic, a dialogue between you and the infinite. This is not about superstition. This is about resonance. Your imagination, when used with conviction and feeling, impresses itself upon the field of reality. And reality, like a perfect mirror, begins to respond. Not always instantly, but certainly. These synchronicities are like the first leaves of spring. They don't show the full bloom, but they prove that the season has changed. When you begin to live from the end, when you think, feel, and imagine as the person who already has what they desire, you change your vibration, and as you do, the world around you adjusts. It may not bend overnight, but it will whisper to you, yes, you are on the path, keep going. Resist the urge to dismiss these signs as coincidences. They are not. The very fact that you notice them is proof of your awareness expanding. You are no longer living blindly. You are awake to the hidden conversation between the seen and unseen. That awareness is the birthplace of creation. So the next time you see a sign, a repeating number, a name, a symbol, or a moment that seems too perfect to be random, pause, smile. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're witnessing the outer world responding to your new inner reality. Stay in that knowing. Let it strengthen your faith. Because synchronicities are not a tease. They are the fingerprints of your manifestation, already reaching out to meet you. There is a point along the path of conscious creation where the noise falls away. You no longer wake up with a sense of urgency or go to bed with racing thoughts. The constant need to monitor, to check, to force things into place quietly fades. You're no longer trying to convince yourself that it's working, because now you simply know. You've stepped into a space that feels weightless, yet powerful. This state is not filled with emotional highs or obsessive energy. It is quiet, still, clear. This is the essence of true detachment. But don't mistake this detachment for disinterest. You haven't stopped caring about the desire. You've simply released the resistance around it. You're no longer in the state of wanting, you are in the state of having. This inner shift creates a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by appearances. You are no longer measuring time. You are no longer pleading with the unseen. You've entered the full-fed end, and now you rest in that knowing. It is a profound moment when the obsession ends and certainty begins. The desire no longer consumes your thoughts every hour, not because you gave up, but because you feel it is done. You are no longer distracted by how it will come or when it will show up. You've stopped scripting every detail, not because it doesn't matter, but because the outcome feels inevitable. That calm clarity is not laziness, it's mastery. This kind of detachment is magnetic. When you hold the end within your being, not with tension but with ease, life rearranges to reflect it. It must. The world around you is a mirror, and it always bends to the vibration you carry. When you vibrate with obsession, fear, and constant need, the mirror reflects more of that. But when you vibrate with trust, ease, and clear knowing, the mirror reveals a new version of reality, one that matches your inner state of assurance. You see, real faith is not loud. It doesn't require constant affirmations or signs. It doesn't need to be reassured. It simply is. You feel a quiet sense of alignment, as though the path ahead is already laid out, even if you can't see all the steps. You walk with less fear and more presence. You talk less about what you're trying to manifest and more about the life you're already living in your mind and spirit. This clarity makes you powerful. You're not chasing anything, you're not waiting, you're living in a new identity. The version of you who already has what was once only imagined. And in this identity, there's no pressure, there's no striving, there's only alignment. So when you find yourself feeling clear, calm, and no longer obsessed, honor that moment. You've stepped beyond desire and into fulfillment. You've crossed the invisible line where the wish has moved from hope to reality, from longing to being. It is in this detachment that the manifestation ripens. It is in this clarity that the unseen becomes seen. And it is in this stillness that you realize you were never waiting. You already are. There is a beautiful transformation that occurs when you begin to truly live in the end, not through force or repetition, but through natural identification with your desire. At first, imagination might feel like daydreaming, like a gentle hope floating in the background. But something changes when you persist in the inner work. Something sacred begins to awaken. The scenes you create in your mind become richer, deeper, more emotionally charged. You don't just see the outcome, you feel it, live it, breathe it. And soon, what you imagine starts to feel more real than your current life. This is no ordinary fantasy. It's not escapism, it is creation at its purest level. What you call imagination is the true source of reality. The world you now live in was once imagined, consciously or unconsciously. And so when the imagined experience becomes more compelling, more vivid, and more alive than the so-called physical facts around you, it means something vital has shifted. Your consciousness has moved. You no longer feel the need to react to the outer world because your inner world is more satisfying. You may walk through a reality that appears unchanged, but within, you're touching something far greater. You can feel the joy of having what you once longed for. You smile at moments no one else understands because you've seen something they haven't. You've already lived the result, and in doing so, you've summoned it into form. This experience is not just emotional, it's spiritual. You sit with your eyes closed and enter the scene of your wish fulfilled. You don't merely visualize the outcome, you become the one who has it. You walk into a room and feel the presence of what you imagined. You hear voices congratulating you. You smell the space, you touch the fabric. You experience details that have no physical source. And yet they feel absolutely real. More real than the doubts. More real than the delay. More real than anything your five senses are currently reporting. And here is the mystery. When the inner world becomes more dominant than the outer begins to transform. Not by force, not through hustle, but by divine reflection. The world is not fixed, it is a mirror. And when you saturate your consciousness with the feeling, tone, and certainty of your imagined life, the mirror must bend. That's why you must not dismiss these vivid moments as just imagination. They are not pretend. They are previews of what is forming. When your imagined scenes begin to carry weight, when you find yourself emotionally moved, even to tears, by something you've only lived in your mind, that is not delusion. That is evidence. You've created the cause. the effect will follow. So trust the depth of your inner experience. Don't look around for validation, look within. That feeling of realness you experience in the invisible, that clarity, that emotional charge, it is telling you this is not a wish, this is a becoming. You are not waiting for it to happen, you are remembering it already did. And the more real it feels inside, the faster it must show up outside. Because imagination, when fully believed, is the blueprint of your reality. When you truly shift your inner state, when you no longer merely want your desire but begin to become the one who has it, something remarkable begins to unfold. And it happens often without effort, without action, and without warning. Suddenly, the world around you begins to move. People behave differently. Circumstances shift. What once felt stuck and immovable begins to loosen. Things start to rearrange themselves to accommodate your new assumption. And yet, you did not force any of it. It moved because you did internally. This is one of the most beautiful confirmations that your manifestation is underway. The outer world, which once seemed cold, fixed, and unchanging, begins to bend. Opportunities that once seemed distant or impossible begin to present themselves naturally. A person who had cut you off reappears. A job you didn't apply for suddenly becomes available. A financial breakthrough shows up in a way you never could have scripted. And all of this happens not because you struggled or chased it, but because you aligned your being with the end. Consciousness is always the cause. The outer world is never initiating anything, it only echoes. So when people change, or they apologize, return, or offer something you secretly desired, it's not because they decided to shift, it's because you did. You released the old state of lack, fear, or doubt and stepped into a version of yourself that lives in completion, and the outer world had no choice but to mirror that shift. This movement is often subtle at first. A conversation goes differently than expected. A door that was once shut is now cracked open. You overhear something that confirms your inner work. These are not accidents. They are ripples caused by your assumption becoming dominant. There's something profoundly freeing about this realization, that you don't have to manipulate, fix, or force the world into cooperation. You don't need to argue or prove your worth. When your inner world is clear, the outer world follows. This is not passivity, it is spiritual authority. It is stillness that commands movement. And the movement you witness around you is not random, it's strategic, intelligent, and perfectly timed. Sometimes, what begins to move is what once felt most stubborn. A situation that seemed hopeless suddenly finds a new pathway. A no turns into a yes. A delay becomes divine alignment. You realize in those moments that you were never truly waiting on the world was waiting on you. Waiting for you to become certain, to stop doubting, to embody the end result so fully that no resistance could remain. The people, events, and outcomes that begin to shift around you are all messengers of this truth. Your state creates your fate. When you dwell in the end and persist there in imagination and feeling, the bridge of incidents begins to build itself. And you do not need to know how. You only need to remain faithful. So when the unexpected begins to happen, do not be surprised. Smile. You did this not with force, but with focus. Not by chasing, but by choosing to be. Reality is simply catching up with who you've become. And so, as you stand on the edge of your new reality, remember this: what you seek is already seeking you. The signs are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Inner peace, emotional triggers, vivid imagination, synchronicities, and the quiet detachment you feel, all of these are whispers from the unseen, telling you that your desire is not a far-off dream, but a reality unfolding moment by moment. Do not let the delay fool you. Do not let appearances shake you. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. Stay faithful to the unseen. Walk as if it's already done. Because the truth is, it is. Your only job is to remain in the state of the fulfilled desire, no matter what the world around you shows. Everything is moving, everything is changing, everything is coming into alignment. You are not waiting anymore, you are becoming. Thank you for listening, and always remember, your inner world is the key. Guard it, nurture it, and trust it, because it's already yours. My friend, the moment you entertain the idea that what you seek is too far, you step away from the truth. The truth is, it is already here, closer than breath, closer than heartbeat. The moment you dared to imagine it, it was conceived. You do not chase after what is yours by divine right. You align, you assume, you remain. And yes, there are moments when the silence gets louder than your hope, when the world outside refuses to mirror the vision inside. That is the test. That is the sacred moment most walk away, never knowing how close they were. You ask, where is it? Why hasn't it come? But I ask you, have you abandoned the state of knowing for the doubt of seeing? You are not here to react. You are here to create. You create by imagining boldly and refusing to waver, by accepting the end as done long before it whispers into the physical. Your senses will betray you. Circumstances may mock you, but the unseen is more potent than all appearances. Hold fast to your vision. Do not modify your desire to match the delay. The delay is not denial, it is preparation, rearrangement, the divine orchestration of all things moving toward you. You must live as though it is already yours, because it is. It was always yours the moment you claimed it within. So don't stop now. Don't talk yourself out of your own power. You are standing at the gate of your own answered prayer. One more moment of faith, one more day in the state, one more breath of conviction, and the world will have no choice but to yield to your command. Your job is not to figure out how. Your job is to remain in the knowing. The seed has taken root. The soil has been warmed by your belief. And though the tree has not yet broken the surface, it grows silently, surely, unstoppably. The time to give up was yesterday. Today, you persist. Because today, your manifestation is closer than you think. Stay there, feel it, live it, and it must come. Everything you desire already exists within the unseen realm of your imagination. It is not something you are chasing. It is something you are awakening to. The moment you first imagined it, it was conceived. That invisible act, that spark of inner awareness, was not mere fantasy, it was creation. What the world calls imaginary is the very blueprint of reality. And to remain faithful to this invisible act, to hold it within as though it is already your truth, is the single most powerful act you can perform. Yet most do not persist. They imagine once, maybe twice, and then retreat. They begin to observe the world of facts, the bills, the silence, the absence, and they let those shadows convince them that the imagined thing is not real, that their inner world was a lie. They abandon their creation, not knowing how close it was to becoming visible. To give up is to abort the birth of your desire. You do not plant a seed and dig it up the next morning to check if it's growing. You water it, you protect it, you wait, not with doubt, but with a quiet confidence that what is hidden is already unfolding. Manifestation is no different. It demands persistence, not effort, not struggle, but steady, unwavering inner conviction. Imagination is the womb of reality, and what you persist in imagining, what you continually return to, what you embody in feeling, that becomes your world. The outer world must mirror the inner one. That is law. But the mirror is delayed. There is a sacred gap between imagining and seeing. And that gap is what tests you. Will you hold on to your vision when nothing yet confirms it? Will you trust the invisible when the visible screams otherwise? Most people fall in that gap. They do not understand that persistence in the assumption of the wish fulfilled is the bridge. They allow time and appearances to weaken their faith. But time is not your enemy. It is your servant. It is giving shape to what you have already claimed. You must dare to live from the end, even when the beginning looks barren. You must dare to walk through the world with the inner knowing that your desire is already accomplished, not because someone told you so, but because you saw it, felt it, claimed it within yourself. And if you saw it clearly, then it is. The seed is planted. What you do in imagination is more real than what you see with your eyes, because the world of form is only a shadow of consciousness. Do not let the shadow define your faith. Let your inner world remain untouched by delay or doubt, because if you persist, reality must conform. It has no choice. It is bound by the law of consciousness. So persist. Not with force, but with quiet certainty. Return again and again to the scene that implies your desire is fulfilled. Feel it as though it were already so. Walk as the one who has it. Speak as the one who knows. And hold firm even when no sign appears. Because the moment you almost give up, that is often the moment it is just about to be born. The world you see with your eyes is not the final authority on what is real. Appearances deceive. They play catch-up to your inner world. What you feel is true within yourself. That is the seed of all reality. The mistake most make is placing their faith in what the senses report, not realizing that the senses are simply echoing a past state of consciousness. The life you're currently experiencing is not new. It is a delayed reflection of who you once believed yourself to be. This is why judging by appearances will always mislead you. The moment you set an intention, when you assume the wish fulfilled in your imagination, something shifts, but the shift is internal first. The change is silent, subtle, and sacred. The outer world does not always instantly comply, not because the inner work is weak, but because the world of form takes time to rearrange. It's like turning a massive ship. The wheel has been turned, but the direction takes a moment to catch up. You must understand this. The feeling is the truth. If you can feel it deeply and consistently, the feeling of already having, already being, then that is what creates. Not hope, not effort, but feeling. The emotional acceptance of your desire as already real is the engine of manifestation. And yet, when people begin this work, they quickly look outside for evidence. They check the phone for a message. They stare at the bank account. They search for signs in conversations, glances, numbers, and situations. And when the outer world does not immediately affirm the inner vision, they fall back into doubt. They say, maybe it's not working. Maybe it's not meant for me. But in doing so, they shift states from faith to fear, from knowing to questioning, and then wonder why their world doesn't change. The world will always reflect your dominant state. A moment of belief cannot compete with days of worry. You cannot treat imagination like a lottery ticket you check once and then forget. It is a state you dwell in. It is a knowing you carry, and the only thing that proves your manifestation is coming is the feeling of already having it. Not a sign, not a hint, but a deep inner resonance that says, this is who I am now. It is possible to feel rich when the world calls you poor. It is possible to feel loved when no one has spoken your name. And it is that feeling, not your circumstance, that brings change. Circumstances are clay. Consciousness is the mold. Do not ask the clay to instruct the potter. So trust the feeling. Let it become your compass. Let it lead you when the world seems unchanged, because the world will change, it must. The moment you stop needing evidence and start living from the end, the outer must respond. It is bound to reflect the state you sustain within. The signs may lie, the senses may deceive, but the feeling, the felt truths, that is the law. Ignore the noise. Withdraw your faith from the facts and invest it fully in the unseen, for that is where all things are born. Keep your feeling pure, keep it strong, and know that what you feel is real must become real. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. The truth is, you already possess everything you seek, but not in the outer world. You possess it in consciousness. This is the great secret. Manifestation is not a matter of gaining, attracting, or striving. It is a matter of accepting what is already yours in the unseen realm, of claiming it inwardly and faithfully remaining there, unmoved by the illusions of absence. Desire is not a sign of lack. It is a signal from your deeper self that what you desire is already yours on the level of being. You are not trying to bring something to you. You are awakening to what is already within. When you truly understand this, the idea of chasing, begging, or struggling disappears. You stop seeing yourself as someone in need, and you begin living as someone who already is. This is the shift. You do not imagine to create, you imagine to remember. The moment you embody the feeling of already having, already being, you shift into possession. And once something is possessed in consciousness, the world has no choice but to mirror it. The problem arises when people confuse the physical arrival of the thing with the moment of its manifestation. But the truth is, the manifestation happens the moment you accept it within. That is the moment of change. Everything that follows in the physical world is just the slow unveiling of what has already occurred. You must understand, the outer is always late. Always. It is a delayed echo, a reflection. But the inner world is immediate. When you accept a new reality in your imagination, when you feel it as true without evidence, you have claimed it, it is yours. From that moment on, your only task is to remain in that state. Not to make it happen, but to stay there. Staying there means refusing to entertain thoughts of lack. It means ignoring the voice that says, but nothing has changed. It means you walk, talk, and breathe as the one who already has it. Because in truth, you do. Your world is merely adjusting to your new identity. If you truly knew this, you would not be anxious, you would not be waiting, you would not be asking when. You would be resting in the knowing that the thing is already done. This is the peace that comes from living in the end. Not hoping, not needing, but receiving. So don't try to acquire your manifestation, accept it. Possess it inwardly, own it in silence. Let your inner conversations match the reality you have chosen. Let your reactions reflect someone who already has. This is not pretending. This is spiritual ownership. When you stop seeking and start being, everything begins to shift. The world cannot deny a man or woman who is fully persuaded of who they are. And if you can dwell in that knowing, if you can persist in the acceptance of your desire as already accomplished, then the physical must come, not as a reward for your effort, but as a reflection of who you have become. You already possess it in consciousness. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to wait for. Just stay there and let the world catch up. Delay is never a denial. It is a divine rearrangement, a sacred unfolding of what you have already accepted in consciousness. The moment you dare to assume your desire is fulfilled, your entire world begins to shift. But this shift is often silent, unseen, and misunderstood. You look around and it seems nothing is happening, or worse, everything appears to be falling apart. Yet what feels like chaos is not destruction, it is construction. What feels like a setback is often the very path to your assumption becoming form. When you imagine a new state, when you truly claim a new identity within, the old world must crumble. Not to punish you, but to make room. Reality cannot support two opposing identities at once. The self you used to be, the one who lacked, who feared, who doubted, must dissolve, and with it the circumstances that matched it. This unraveling is often mistaken as failure, but it is simply the old reality being deconstructed, brick by brick, so your new state can rise. Too often, people assume that if their desire doesn't appear quickly, something is wrong. They begin to question, to doubt, to slip back into the state of not having. But the delay is not proof of absence. It is proof of movement. The deeper the shift you've made, the more your world must rearrange. Do not interfere with this process by trying to control it. Do not dig up the seed because it hasn't bloomed in a day. Understand this. Your world is not punishing you, it is obeying you. But it is obeying your state, not your words. So when you assume the wish fulfilled, truly feel it and dwell in that identity, you have spoken the creative word. The rearrangement begins, even if nothing yet appears changed. You may lose people, opportunities may vanish, jobs may collapse, but none of it is to harm you, it is to align you. You ask for a new reality, and now everything that contradicts it must fall away. What is yours cannot be kept from you, but it also cannot reach you while you're holding on to the old version of yourself. Let it go. Let things shift. Let the path become unfamiliar. Do not panic when the middle looks messy. This is not the end. It is the turning. Have you ever cleaned out a closet or rearranged a room? It must first become a mess. Things come off shelves. Dust is stirred. Items are thrown away. It looks worse before it becomes beautiful. Your life is no different. When your assumption is strong, the rearrangement is natural. The only thing that delays it further is your resistance, your disbelief, your impatience. So rest in the knowing that delay is divine. It is not the universe withholding. It is the universe aligning. It is the unseen moving all things into harmony with your inner state. And if you can stay faithful in the waiting, if you can hold your assumption when everything else is dissolving, you will walk into a life you once only dreamed of. Do not curse the delay, bless it. It means something is happening. It means the old is clearing. It means the new is coming. Your only task is to remain in the state. Everything else will follow. There is a strange and sacred moment that comes to all who dare to imagine boldly. A moment when everything within you is tempted to give up. It arrives quietly, sometimes suddenly, and it brings with it an overwhelming pressure to quit. Nothing seems to be working. The evidence of your desire is nowhere in sight. Doubt creeps in like fog, heavy and unrelenting. It whispers lies. It's not going to happen. You were foolish to believe. It's time to let it go. But this moment, this pressure, is not a sign of failure. It is the final test. The darkest hour is not symbolic, it is real, and it almost always comes just before the breakthrough. It is not random. It is not punishment. It is the final purification of your faith. Will you hold your state, your vision, your inner knowing, even when the world outside gives you every reason not to? Will you persist in the assumption when the evidence seems to mock it? That is the test. And it is not cruel, it is purposeful. When you first assume the wish fulfilled, you feel powerful, clear, even euphoric. But time passes and the outer world hasn't caught up. You begin to wonder if you were wrong. This wondering is the crossroads. One path leads back to the old state, safety, comfort, and resignation. The other path requires you to step fully into the unknown. It demands that you trust in the unseen, not because you see proof, but because you know who you are. Most people stop here. They stop just before the bridge appears. They let the noise of the outer world convince them that nothing is happening, but everything is happening just beneath the surface. The pressure you feel is not a signal to give up. It is the birth pangs of the new reality. You are about to emerge. You are being asked to hold on a little longer, not because it is far away, but because it is close. Think of it this way. The seed breaks through the soil not because it is failing, but because it is growing. The pressure you feel is the result of your inner expansion. The old self is dying. The old beliefs are crumbling. And just before the new world becomes visible, there is a moment of complete silence. A void. An empty space. That space is sacred. Do not rush it. Do not abandon it. Stay. Your bridge of incidents, the path that connects the invisible to the visible, is forming. But it cannot appear until you have proven to yourself that you no longer need proof. The moment you stop looking for signs is often the moment the sign appears. Not to reassure you, but to confirm what you already claimed. This is why persistence is the secret ingredient. Not effort, not striving, just being. Remaining in the state, refusing to give up what you've already accepted. And if you can do that, if you can face the pressure without bending, the breakthrough becomes inevitable. So when it gets hard, when it gets quiet, when it feels like nothing is moving, remember, this is the final test. And if you can stand still in your assumption, if you can remain faithful to what you felt is real, the bridge will appear, the door will open, and everything you imagined will step forward just as you believed it would. Feeling you carry is not just an emotion, it is the magnetic force drawing your desire into form. Every time you return to the state of the wish fulfilled, every time you feel the truth of your desire as if it were already done, you send out a silent command to the universe. You are not begging, you are not wishing, you are knowing. And that knowing is creative. It pulls unseen threads together in perfect timing, perfect order, and perfect alignment. You don't need to know how, you only need to remain faithful to the feeling. That's the part that people overlook. They chase signs, watch the clock, and monitor circumstances, never realizing that all the power is already in their possession. It's not in the world, it's in their state. The longer you dwell in that inner state, not occasionally, not when it's easy, but consistently, the more magnetic you become. You don't attract by effort, you attract by identity. You become the one who already has it. You walk like it, breathe like it, react like it. You don't fake it, you embody it. That embodiment is what causes the world to rearrange itself around you. You don't need to run after anything. In truth, your desire is already moving toward you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally became the version of yourself who lives in that reality. But this requires faith. Not blind belief in an idea, but loyalty to the unseen. Faith is the ability to remain true to your chosen state, even when the senses report the opposite. It's the quiet courage to say, I know it is done, without needing anything outside to confirm it. And as you continue to feel it real, something begins to shift. not just within you, but in the world around you. Conversations change, people appear, doors open, not because you chase them, but because your vibration, your assumption, your identity call them in. So don't stop now. Not when you've come this far, not when the bridge is forming. If you were to stop now, you would be like a sculptor who walks away just before the final detail is carved. You've already shaped the inner mold. Now let the outer world catch up. It's already reaching for you. Every time you close your eyes and feel yourself to be the person who has, who is, who lives the life you imagine, you bring it closer. You are collapsing time. You are making the invisible tangible. You don't need permission. You don't need proof. You just need to stay in the feeling. Let others panic. Let the world rush. You remain still. You remain sure. And in that stillness, in that certainty, creation takes place. The faithful feeling is the creative act. It is the spark and the bridge. And the longer you dwell there, the more your world bends to meet you. So breathe deeply, return to the state, see it, feel it, know it, because it is yours. Not someday, not soon, but now, in consciousness. And what is accepted there must appear here. Keep dwelling, keep feeling. It's already on its way. You are not waiting for your manifestation. Your manifestation is waiting for you to remain in the feeling of it being already done. This journey is not about forcing outcomes, chasing signs, or doubting in the dark. It is about dwelling in the state of fulfillment, trusting the unseen, and walking by inner knowing, not outer evidence. Everything you desire is already yours in consciousness. Stay there. Let the old fall away. Let delay work on your behalf. Let the pressure refine your faith. Your consistent inner feeling is calling the new world into form. Do not quit on the edge of your breakthrough. The bridge is forming under your feet even now. Hold the state, feel it real, persist in the assumption, and the world will not only reflect what you've imagined, it will confirm who you've become. Be closer than you think. Thank you. Thank you for listening and allowing these words to be planted in your spirit. Let them guide you back to your power, the power to assume, the power to feel, the power to know it is done. Stay faithful, stay focused, and above all, stay in the state, because everything is already yours.